Hi, David Hood here, the Dallas SEO Geek, and this video is about how to hire an SEO consultant or an SEO company. Let's just jump right into it. So, first of all, I empathize greatly with your position. It's very confusing, just like this baby is confused. And you can spend a lot of time studying it and end up more confused than when you started. There's a lot of BS out there. For example, there's a bunch of people writing about how to do SEO who have never actually ranked anything. There's a lot of bloggers out there who blog about SEO in order to make money with SEO. They're trying to make money with their blog. There's a ton of people. In fact, that's the vast majority of them, people who claim, put their hands up and say, yeah, I'm great at SEO. They spent maybe a couple days or even a couple months reading and without actually taking the experience of testing it and doing the nitty-gritty of actually getting results and making money off of it. Very, very few people. You know, and the biggest secrets are not given away for free. New techniques are being invented all the time. You know, and there's also multiple angles that you can attack SEO from. So you might get multiple correct but different answers to your SEO questions. So this is very confusing, and I empathize greatly with your position. But there's a couple of things that if you go through this, that you'll understand a little bit better, and that will help you make a better decision. All right, so one of the first things is try to get someone or some company that can actually show you results. So if you search Dallas SEO Expert, you can see right now I've got the #1 spot, the #2 spot, and then 2 more spots down the page. So, and this is a very valuable term that has made my business a lot of money. So this is just one example of many. You know, I've ranked thousands of keywords, sometimes for just one client or one website. There's so many results that I can show to prove that I actually can do what I say I can do, right? But there's a lot of people out there who haven't actually ranked anything, and they're out there trying to sell SEO, and that's something that you really want to try to avoid. You know, ask for some example rankings. You know, they might not be able to show you all their clients. You know, a lot of my clients don't want me showing their results. That's fine, but I can show you some of my own tests and some of my own examples of things that I've ranked. And there's just a lot of different stuff. We could talk about it for hours. So. You also want to evaluate the value of those results. If they show you, like, for example, they might show you a ranking of someone who it's their brand name. Well, you should automatically rank for your brand name even if you don't do SEO. And there's a lot of things that don't really get searched at all. Well, that can still be valuable. Understanding the true value of that, you know, ranking for one thing of very low value is not necessarily that great. You know, if you rank for 1,000 things of very low value, that's valuable, right? So really try to evaluate, okay, is this something that's actually something that is going to make somebody money, right? You know, you also want to confirm that they played a big part in it. And this, I'm going to talk about this a little bit more later. Some people will claim other people's rankings, or they'll do one little thing on a website and there's another person or another team that did everything else, and they'll claim the results. You want someone who's actually understands the full process and who's led the process and not necessarily have to do every task, but who has gone through and played a big part in ranking the site. You know, experience matters in this, but I've known people who've done SEO for 6 months who are better than the vast majority of people out there. There's a guy I met one time, and he'd been doing SEO for like 5 or 6 years, and he was terrible. He couldn't get his clients' results at all, and it's because he just kind of kept doing the same cookie cutter canned things over and over again. He said, well, it's the best I can do. There's no more for me to learn. Because he really didn't do much testing, and he didn't really have the analytical data analysis that you need to really get good at SEO and really to constantly do your own research and development. That's something that a lot of people don't do. They just don't test. They don't go out there and try their own stuff. And you're never going to get good just reading about SEO. You have to go out there and you have to do it. Right? Also, these rankings that they're showing you, you know, did this turn into traffic? Did this turn into leads and sales? You know, take it all the way through. Did this actually make somebody money? Again, this search phrase, Dallas SEO Expert, has made me a lot of money. You know, and you know the first 2 are really SEO rankings and traffic. The third is like sort of conversions. You know, going from a website visitor to a lead. That can be, an SEO expert can know a lot about that. You know, that varies depending on the field. If you're a plumber, you know, that shouldn't be too complicated. Just, you know, your pipes burst, call us now. You know, that's not complicated. You know, in other industries, it's more important or more complicated. It's not really the same thing as SEO. It affects SEO a little bit. How your visitor responds to your page affects it. But like an SEO expert isn't really necessarily an expert in conversions. Okay, so that's something important to know. But then the last piece of it, if someone calls you up, an SEO person has nothing to do with that. Now, if those leads stink, then that has something to do with SEO. You're targeting the wrong market online, and you need to look at your plan. But if you're getting good leads and you're not closing them, that's not the SEO person's fault. So if you're not making money, that doesn't necessarily mean the SEO person didn't do their job right. Here's what you need to do. If you've got a current SEO team and you're trying to evaluate them, check for your SEO traffic. This is very easy to do. You can go to most, like Google Analytics, or there's lots of different tracking. You just look at how many visitors you got from the search engines, and look at the long term of that. Look at the last month, the last 90 days, and compare it to the previous time periods. It's not that complicated. Did you get more than in the previous 90 days than the 90 days before that? And if you did, great. If not, then are we on the right path? Is there something else to explain this? Maybe the market that you're in kind of goes up and down in the searches, and so maybe you just hit a lull when people are searching, but your rankings are actually good. And if this is 0, then that's bad, right? If this is high, that's good. Well, how high is good, and how high is just like, yeah, I guess it's providing value, but not that much. And this really depends on the products and services that you sell, and how much search volume out there, and how early you are in the process, and how much growth potential there is, and what your budget has been, and many other factors. So this is not something that I can really explain in this one video. There's a lot more that I want to cover. But if you're making money for it, if your phone is ringing a lot more than it did before, that's generally a good thing. So you kind of need to dig in deeper and really do a business analysis on it. Here's another thing. There's a ton of beginners out there, and I alluded to this before, who are trying to sell SEO. And as long as they're open with that and about how much experience they have, there's nothing wrong with that. But there's a ton of programs out there that teach people how to sell SEO, and they don't teach them how to do SEO. Seriously, I joined one a long time ago, and all they did was say, oh, if you need to do SEO, here's a third party to outsource it to, right? That was, okay SEO. And also the fact that it was so disconnected meant that there was a lot lost in translation. Even if the person who was selling it was good at it and they were outsourcing to these people, there was a lot that didn't go along the way, get communicated, and so it just wasn't very efficient. Even if it was efficient, the SEO still wouldn't have been that great. Okay, next. IT is not SEO. This is something that's very confusing to people, and they don't even know they're confused, and this is something that I really need to clarify. Again, IT is not SEO. IT people in a lot of fields often know just a few simple things that you could go read in a couple hours on articles somewhere else about SEO. It's not necessarily wrong, but it's only a very small piece of the puzzle, a very small truth, or a lot of times there's a lot of half-truths out there. Okay? And they're afraid to say they don't. Also, it's another one of those things, they don't know what they don't know. This IT is, information technology is such a vast field, and there's so many different disciplines. It's like saying a scientist understands everything about science. No, a biologist doesn't really know as much about physics as a physicist knows about biology. It's actually much bigger of a gap than that, because the processes that biologists and scientists use, the core are very similar, but this goes even further. SEO, IT is typically an expense. It's an expense that you pay for. You just have to. You have to have computers. You have to have internet, etc., right? SEO is marketing. Very different, right? SEO is even a different business model than other internet marketing disciplines. Pay-per-click, for example, the Google AdWords, it's very different. The actions you do on each one is very different. It's a completely different business model. Someone who's really good at pay-per-click, it's irrelevant to how good they are at SEO. There's really very little overlap in the skills needed. Web design, this is probably the worst one. Web designers sell themselves good at SEO. They learn a couple of basic things, and they say, I'll do SEO for you. No, not true. Not true. First of all, web design is a completely different business model than SEO. SEO, the businesses that are built on SEO typically don't work very well with a business that's built around web design. You can't really put the two right together. Now, that doesn't mean that someone who does SEO can't sell web design. That's actually a much more natural progression, because basic good web design If you don't have something really complex like a shopping cart with a bunch of products, if you're a plumber, that's real easy. That's not complex. You can just install WordPress or many of the other content management systems and have a website up in a few hours. It's really not that complicated to do basic web design, right? But web designers typically do not know SEO. It's not the same thing, and this is really, really important that a lot of people get wrong. Okay, hosting companies a lot of times try to sell SEO. Most of the time it's outsourced, but even then, some people think their hosting company has a say in their SEO. Not really. It's really not true. The vast majority of SEO has really nothing to do with your hosting. So that's something that's important. Again, these organizations are not SEO companies. Pay-per-click, web design, hosting, not SEO companies. There's a lot more that people think, even within internet marketing. Advertising, like Facebook advertising, not SEO. Very different, completely different business model, completely different techniques and disciplines. I spend all day, every day, working at SEO, every single day, for the last 2.5 years, and for a lot of time, 2.5 years before that. So about 5 years I've been doing SEO, 2.5 years I've been spending all day, every day. Okay, I've ranked for thousands of keywords. There's still more for me to learn and that I can improve on. Even the best person I've ever met at SEO, it can still improve on SEO. So to think that someone who spent 10 hours studying it in the last month or the last year is going to give you good SEO results, you're just not going to get it, period. There's just going to be opportunities left on the table. Very important concept. Okay, you want to make sure that your SEO is not outsourced. I talked about this before. There's a lot of companies, actually it's about 60% of companies just sell the SEO, take the SEO and hand it off to a different organization, a different company. That happens all the time. I've had people contact me, and I've even done SEO for other agencies. That is not that uncommon, and that's not what you want. You want to ask somebody if they're the ones that actually do it, and get them to explain how it's structured. This doesn't mean that I do every little task on every little thing. I have long-term contractors that I've trained on exactly what I want to do, and the plan is always mine. I direct all the pieces, and so that's not really outsourcing the SEO. This is people taking the SEO, the whole project, and just giving it off to someone else and then cashing the check. For the people that I do SEO, I charge them the same prices, and they just mark it up double to you. So you really want to find someone who really understands SEO and really knows the nitty-gritty and isn't afraid to set it up and do it themselves. Okay, this is really important. Because you're just wasting your money, and usually the outsourced ones are kind of canned. The companies that white label their SEO as a business model, there's a lot of companies out there, that's their whole business model. It tends to be very canned, normal SEO that doesn't really give great results. And the value of low quality SEO is and even medium quality SEO is basically nothing. The value of high quality SEO is through the roof. Okay, because almost all the clicks go to the top 3 results. That's pretty much how it works. The difference between number 5 and number 1 gets 10 times the amount of traffic. By the time you get to the bottom page, unless it's something that gets searched a lot, there's basically no value to your business. Okay, here's something that's really important, and this will help you weed out the people who are outsourcing SEO. What's the plan? What is the plan of attack here? There's a lot of different ways that you can attack SEO. Okay. You have to ask this and get the details. Now, this doesn't mean you have to understand it all, and this doesn't mean you have to get down to every little detail. But where are they taking you? How are they going to get you to there? Because there's a lot of different ways you can do this. And the important thing here is to connect the dots from the SEO consultant or SEO company's activities to the money in your pocket. This can be a multi-step process. I'm going to do, we're going to build this thing here, and it's going to target it in this way, and these are the opportunities that you get, right? And if someone is just outsourcing their SEO, or they got a really basic plan, they're not going to have much detail here, and they're not going to have something that really makes sense, and they're not going to really understand how to evaluate and how to attack your best opportunities, right? Just for an example, so like on-page SEO improvement, which is kind of a semi-regular activity, to off-page SEO, which is regular, needs to be done all the time, that yields targeted rankings, which is targeted traffic, your target market coming to your site and looking at your site, which yields targeted leads, which yields sales. right? You need to be able to put those pieces together. And it needs to be a little bit more complex than what I said, but gets a little bit of details in. Why is this SEO on-page SEO going to do it? What exactly are we doing here, right? How exactly does this fit with the target market? What kind of expectations can we have? You know, I'll be honest. This is not an easy calculation, even for me, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. And here's a big myth that I want to bust, right? Google has a tool called the Google Keyword Tool that tells you, hey, Dallas plumbers get searched this much, right? Okay, and this tool is highly flawed. It's not anywhere near perfect. In fact, my estimate is that it only shows about 1/3 or less of the total search volume out there. There's tons of stuff that it shows 0 for that is actually getting searched and is valuable, right? So you can't always calculate this exactly, and you wouldn't expect it to because there's a lot of unknowns, but just use conservative numbers and really just what's the plan, how does this tie into the money that I'm going to make, right? You know, the plan is just so huge, and a lot of people, they spend just a few minutes on this, and they do a little bit of research, and they pick top 10 search phrases to get searched, and then they go on that. Well, that's what everybody else does, and everybody else is doing the mediocre SEO and going for the same search phrases, right? You know, if you want to get from New York City to LA, and a consultant gives you a map from New York City to Miami, no matter how fast you drive, you won't get to LA, right? And there are really many road maps in SEO. Each company has its own unique set of opportunities, so they need to be able to take those opportunities and understand your market, not necessarily as well as you, but pretty good, and dig down into the search results. And it's not just about going into the Google Keyword Tool and pulling out the top 10 things to get searched. You really have to go to the Google Keyword Tool and use other tools such as your brain and Google itself, like the Google search. See what other ways that your market might be approaching you. Okay, you need to be able to identify all of your unique opportunities. This is something that's really huge. Again, if you don't have the experience of knowing all the different ways that SEO can work out, it's going to be very difficult for a company or a consultant to be able to analyze your opportunities. And if they don't understand all the opportunities available to you, how are they going to create the best plan for you? Really, what you want is the plan that gives you the best ROI, the best chance of growing your website into a very valuable business asset that drives leads on an automated basis. And this is something that it can totally do, right? Again, if a consultant or a company doesn't really have the right experience, especially if they're outsourcing the SEO, they're not going to really put the pieces together of this is what I did with this plan, and then this is the results of it. You know, all they did was create like a really basic plan or do just maybe a tiny bit of research and then pass it off to someone else. And then they don't really know what happens. They don't know the details of what was done. So they have trouble understanding how to attack the opportunities. The best people at SEO I've ever seen always have a few unique ways to them. I have a proprietary WordPress plugin that works wonders for certain markets. It enables them to get really fast, really good, high-quality traffic. And this is because, you know, I have a few unique things. There's a couple things that I understand differently than most people, and then I've tested my own concepts, and then I don't teach to other people. Okay, so this is something. So you know, it's not just that just because someone comes up with two consultants come up with two different plans doesn't necessarily mean that one of them doesn't know what they're talking about. This is important to understand. You know, really, one of the most important things is don't be run-of-the-mill. 99% of businesses, seriously, 99+% of businesses have the same exact freaking plan. Don't be one of those businesses. Don't just go, okay, so I'm a dentist in Dallas. I'm going to put Dallas dentist in the keyword tool. I'm going to pick the top 10, top 5, top 20 things that get searched, and I'm going to go after those. Now, that's part of the plan, but it's only a small part of the analysis. You're leaving so much opportunity on the table. Go back to what I told you about. The Google Keyword Tool only shows about 1/3 at most of the total search volume out there. So think about that for a second. You're leaving 2/3 of your market on the table. In fact, 99% of businesses are leaving that 2/3 on the market on the table. And a very small percentage, maybe 5% at most, probably more like 1 to 3% of the total people out there who do SEO understand this 2/3 market. Everyone else is going after that same 1/3. And really, it's more like the same 10%. Okay? Okay. The next thing is what I'm going to call, where's Walue? So I've got a picture here of basically where's Waldo. Okay, And this is something that I'm kind of putting together the concept of where's Waldo with where's the value. You really want to be able to understand where's the value that they're providing. I see tons of services out there that are fluff, just complete fluff, or they've got 10 things listed and really there's only one, maybe two things that actually provide like a little bit of value. The rest of it is just to make it seem more valuable. It's just to add numbers in your head. Oh, they do this and this and this. Well, either A, that provides zero value to your business, or B, you can get a very low cost or even free alternative tool or service that does it for you to where you don't really need them to do that. I see this a lot for if you're getting charged anything less really than like $400 or $500 a month. There's a lot of companies that do kind of basically no value services for $200 to $300. I see that all the time. They're just kind of using like a tool that really doesn't provide any value. Maybe that it analyzes a couple things, which is something you can get for free out there anyways. You know, really, where's the value? You know, it's sort of like this picture of Where's Waldo. They're including all these people. Look at all these people that I'm sending your way. When there's really just one person in here that you're interested in. That's really common, and I can't seem to find him. And I understand why you can't seem to find it, because again, it goes back to you not understanding where the value is provided. And that's difficult because there's sales teams out there who have been trained and trained and trained, and they know how you respond to certain items, and they know, hey, when you say this, even though it doesn't provide any value, it's something that is going to make them go, ooh, that sounds interesting, when it doesn't provide any value. This is just really, you know, I see too many companies that are just throwing $700 a month down the drain, just boom, 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 just down the drain. It's just, I hate it. I hate the waste. Really try to analyze that and ask them, where's the value really providing? Where's the thing that, this goes back to connecting the dots. What are the things here that really actually make me rank? All right, what are the things that actually put money in your pocket? Really try to think about that. Here's the other thing. There's infinite minutia. I love that term. Infinite minutia. There's an infinite amount of things that you can do that technically help your SEO, but aren't really providing any value. I was talking to one of the best people I've ever met at SEO, and he said, you know, he's basically like, there's three factors really that is 90% of the SEO, and I think he was understating that. I think it's more like there's three factors that are 99% of it. And the rest of that other 1%, it's just so many people focus on all the minutia. There's all those reports out there. You put your website in and it'll grade you, and it'll give you this long list of action items. Well, really, there's only a few on there that really matter, and a lot of times the things that really matter aren't on there. It's funny that how that works. There's maybe one of the three things that's on there that really matters, and the other two they just don't understand, and you can't really do it in an automated way anyways. A lot of times they'll sell irrelevant activity. It's just activity. You know, if I'm running in circles and I'm thinking I'm making progress, you know, I'm not making progress just by running in circles. That's not how it works. You don't just because they're doing things doesn't mean they're providing value. As an example, one of my mentors, you would rather him work for your business for 2 days than you want to hire someone who doesn't really know about their SEO for 2 years. You would get far more value. Honestly, really, 1 day would give you far more value. That's how powerful someone who's really good at SEO can be, and that's how many little minutia, tiny and worthless or extremely 1/1 billionth of value activities there are out there. All right, so you know, this is also, there's the Pareto principle. And I'm not sure if they describe this in the official Pareto principle, but it's the 80-20 rule, where 80% of your results comes from 20% of your activity, or 80% of your results comes from 20% of your employees. I think that number isn't exactly a hard number. I think in this case it's more like 99% one. The concept is the same. The vast majority of the value that is provided to your business is done by just a few different sets of activities. Okay? Really, if they're trying to sell you a bunch of fluff activities, run the other way. Okay? Alright, the last one is pricing. The pricing for an SEO consultant. This is really complicated, and even good SEO consultants sometimes have trouble with this. So let me explain to you how I do it. So it's a flat upfront fee with a flat recurring rate. And a lot of times I get asked, well, how many hours per per week or per month are you using this? Well, that's that question, well, is perfectly normal, and I completely understand. It really just shows how little you understand how an SEO business is run. The vast majority of the activities I do are research and development. I spend a lot more time doing research and development and testing stuff than I do in learning and talking to my mentors and getting information from people who are really good than I do actually doing SEO for the clients. Okay. Not only that, but there's a lot of resources that I built that I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars building. Okay, that I use across my clients. Okay, so it's constantly training. So how many hours am I spending on it? Well, if you count all the research and development, then it's a lot. And sometimes there's a technique that I have where I need to spend a lot of money, and sometimes I need to spend a lot of time. Sometimes I've trained a team member how to do a detailed task, and I give it to him. You know, the actual hours that I spend or that someone spent, really irrelevant. Again, you go back to the guy. You'd rather have one day of really awesome SEO person versus 2 years or 5 years of someone who really doesn't know what they're doing. Okay. Okay. So let's see. The recurring. You want powerful SEO, so that's not going to be cheap. Powerful off-page SEO is not going to be cheap, and it's going to be a recurring expense. This is normal. You know, if they're just charging a one-time flat fee and that's it, it's probably not something that's going to make you a lot of money. That doesn't mean it isn't possible. I've done it before, more because I really understood how to maximize their milking of the market that's online. But it's pretty rare. Okay. Generally, how I try to structure it, and it depends on how simple the company and the market is, or the tasks are, is 3 phases. You got phase 1, which is analyzing the site and fixing it and updating and doing all the research and trying to understand the market, and then building out the site to tap into as much of the market as is reasonable or possible. Okay. And then there's phase 2, which is pushing really hard with the off-page SEO and really getting big results from the SEO. So the initial phase 1 gives you a certain amount of results, but if you stop there, you'll just kind of stay flat usually. Flat to slightly up or slightly down. Okay. You need to do some powerful off-page SEO in order to get up to the top. And phase 2 can take a while. It really depends on the market and the budget and all that stuff. And phase 3 is sometimes you get to where you're happy and you just kind of lower your activities into kind of a maintenance mode. Okay, that's kind of how I price it. You know, how much does it cost? It really depends on your market. It really depends. I would say that generally speaking, if someone is offering you less than $1,000 a month for any package, and it's not, and your market isn't like super uncompetitive, then they're probably not pricing it right, or they're not very good. One of those two things. Okay. I want to go back to the hourly question, which is very common. There's a lot of businesses and a lot of people base their lives around hourly. Okay, so really the only thing, if someone charges you hourly, then I guarantee you that they really don't know what they're doing about SEO. Maybe if they charge you $1,000 an hour, okay, I'll work for $1,000 an hour. But even like $100 or $200 an hour, I won't work for that. I just won't. And I've had people say, "Whoa, you know, why are you saying that's so expensive?" Again, it goes back to my resources, my assets, my research. Working hourly just doesn't make sense. Okay. It's just not a good business model for SEO. And usually if someone is doing hourly, all they're doing is some basic on-page SEO. And maybe they're building content for you, which is not SEO, it's content marketing. They're intertwined a little bit, but they're not the same thing. Okay? You know, there's just too many expenses that are shared across resources across clients for me to do hourly. SEO business is very cash flow intensive, right? And then, you know, I want to go back to comparing the number of client actions versus the number of testing and learning activities that I do. The testing and learning number of activities is much greater, right? There's some things that people try to charge recurring for that really shouldn't be recurring. So on-page SEO. Technically, you need to update it every once in a while and maybe just take a look at it, but it's not something where you should pay $200 a month for on-page SEO, and I see a lot of people doing that where they do. I've talked to them. They do on-page SEO once at the beginning, and then every 3 months they kind of just peek at it and take a quick look at it, and they spend 5 minutes, and they'll charge you $200 a month for that. That's really common. Again, this goes back to low value, low prices, providing basically no money in your pocket. Another thing is content generation. Now, this isn't completely wrong. A lot of times what's best is to build the content that you need. It's structured within the plan that you have, and then just that's all you do. And then maybe over time you add a little bit of content, but it's not something where it's like, all right, you got to blog every week. Probably not true for your business. And you definitely don't want to hire someone to blog every week. You want someone within your organization. If that's really important to you, or if that fits really well into your SEO plan, depending on your market, you want someone within your organization who understands your market, who understands your business doing that. You don't want someone doing it for you. They're probably going to outsource it to someone in the Philippines who speaks English really well but doesn't understand your market. Okay? And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just not going to really provide a whole lot of value, and not something that you should really pay a lot for. So that's all I have. If you have any more questions, feel free to give me a call. My name is David Hood, and this is the Dallas SEO Geek, and I appreciate your time. Have a great day. Bye.